There are places in the world where danger isn't always visible to the eye. It doesn't require an explosion or a fierce animal lurking in the bushes. Sometimes, just breathing the wrong air, touching dirty water, or walking on soil that for many years has absorbed poisons and heavy metals is enough. Gas, volcanic ash, or industrial waste. In some of these places, the toxicity comes directly from nature itself. Volcanic lakes filled with sulfur, water with extreme acidity, and landscapes surrounded by gases coming from deep within the earth. In others, the problem is caused by human activity.
Dirty cities, rivers that have become like dumping grounds for garbage.
Mines that left chemical traces in the soil, and places where radiation has changed the relationship between people and their environment. Get ready because we will visit the 10 most toxic places in the world. But before we start, if you're new to our channel, please click the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so you'll always be updated with our new videos. Lake Telaga, Warna, Indonesia. In the mountains of Dieng, on the island of Java, there is a lake that at first glance looks more beautiful than dangerous. It is called Telaga Warna, which in Indonesia means the lake of colors. Depending on the light, time of day, and concentration of minerals, its water can appear green, blue, yellow, or even white, as if the scenery is gradually changing right before your eyes. But that color is not just a simple illusion. Telaga Warna is part of the Dieng volcanic complex, a place where underground activity remains active. Sulfur compounds, volcanic gases, and minerals dissolved in the water accumulate in the lake, which is what changes its appearance. Its pH is around 3, although it changes depending on the season. This isn't the most acidic lake on the planet, but it's one of the clearest examples of how a beautiful landscape can hide dangerous chemistry. From the viewing areas, Telaga Warna looks like a postcard that's too good to be true. But up close, it reminds you that beneath its colors lies an active volcanic system, gases, acidity, and a beauty that comes from its very own toxicity. Manshiat, Nasser, Egypt. In the southeast of Cairo, near the Mokattam Hills, you'll find a community that the rest of the city seems to prefer to ignore. It's called Manshiat Nasser, although almost everyone knows it better by another name, the City of Garbage. More than 260,000 people live here, and every day they handle around 10,000 tons of garbage from all over the capital. It is collected by a community called the Zabaleen. They are Coptic Christians who have been doing this work for over a century without proper contracts, public infrastructure, clean drinking water, or a proper sewage system. The Egyptian authorities seem to have chosen to just turn a blind eye. The streets are covered with piles of garbage that reach up to 2 meters high. Rats roam freely. The air smells of rotting organic matter, as well as burning plastic, because some of the garbage is burned right in the community. Cases of hepatitis, tetanus, and respiratory diseases are high, and these are above the national average. The most remarkable thing is the ability of the Zabaleen to recycle up to 80% of all the waste that enters the area, a percentage that even many cities in Europe with modern waste management systems cannot reach. Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. In northeastern Ethiopia, there is a place once described by National Geographic as one of the harshest places on Earth. It is called the Danakil Depression, and the conditions here are enough to justify that reputation. It is located more than 100 meters below sea level. It also records one of the highest average annual temperatures on the planet. And in its most extreme part, you can find the volcanic crater of Dalol, where temperatures can reach up to 109 degrees Celsius. The reason why Dalol looks so unique is the deadly liquid that comes out on the surface and forms lakes with unbelievable colors. Neon green, orange, yellow sulfur, and white salt. It looks like a landscape designed by a computer, but it's completely real and extremely dangerous. For years, scientists have been studying this place as a possible analog of Mars to find out if there is dangerous life. In some areas, microorganisms called extremophiles have been found, organisms that can survive in extremely harsh conditions. But in other areas, even these organisms are absent. There are lakes in Dalol where no known form of life can survive. And yet, for more than 2,000 years, the Afar people have lived in the surrounding area. They manually extract the salt and load it onto camels, which are adapted to a place where it seems as if the planet itself is warning you to leave. Nickel mines in Mindanao, Philippines. In the southern part of the Philippines, particularly in the Caraga region, nickel mining has left behind some of the country's newest landscapes. From the air, in many parts of Mindanao and the nearby islands, you can see mountains with exposed earth, steep reddish slopes, and roads that are covered. That color comes from laterite, a type of soil rich in nickel and iron, which is extracted from open pit mines. For this, the plants and the top layer of soil need to be removed first. This is where the problem starts when heavy rains come. In a humid region that often experiences typhoons and has steep slopes, the water can carry the soil removed from the mine to rivers, farms, mangroves, and coastal areas. The most concerning thing is the huge contrast. Nickel is considered an important mineral for batteries, electric vehicles, and technologies used in the energy transition. But in places like Mindanao, the global demand for it could mean forests being cut down, rivers being altered, and rivers filled with sediment. And communities that have to bear the unseen costs of an industry that the rest of the world only notices when the metal is already inside a device. Ganges River, India. The Ganges River is not just a polluted river. It is also one of the most sacred places in India, a river revered by millions of people, and at the same time, one of the rivers under the greatest pressure on the planet. Originating from the Himalayas, the river flows through massive cities and agricultural zones, industrial area, and religious centers where water is a part of daily life. It is used for bathing, praying, washing clothes, transportation, immersing the ashes of the deceased, and supplying the entire community. The combination of devotion, the large number of people, and industry explains a big part of the problem. The National Mission for Clean Ganga itself recognizes that approximately 3 billion liters of wastewater reach the main part of the Ganges River every day from the cities along its banks. In addition to this are industrial waste and other pollutants, solid waste, organic garbage, and the urban pressure that for several decades has exceeded the capacity of the sanitation systems. For many pilgrims, entering its waters holds a deep spiritual meaning. But in some areas, especially near large cities, those same waters contain high levels of fecal bacteria and organic pollution. Kua, Ijen, Indonesia, in the eastern part of the island of Java, at an altitude of almost 2,400 meters. There is an active volcano with a crater lake of such an intense turquoise color that it seems unreal. Its name is Kawah Ijen, and perhaps it is one of the most sought-after places in the entire video. But it is also one of the deadliest. The lake has a diameter of about 1 kilometer and contains an estimated 36 million cubic meters of sulfuric and hydrochloric acid. A single drop of it on the skin can immediately cause severe burns. Falling into it can result in severe injury and death in a very short period of time. But what's truly unique about Kawah Ijen is what happens here when night falls. The sulfur that comes out of the volcano at temperatures over 600 degrees Celsius ignites when it comes into contact with oxygen. The result is electric blue flames that can reach up to 5 meters high. It's like rivers of blue fire crawling down the slopes of the crater while the surroundings are dark. This is one of the most unique and awe-inspiring natural phenomena on the planet. And in the midst of all this, every dawn, dozens of miners go down into the crater to manually collect sulfur. They carry baskets made of bamboo that can hold up to 90 kilos, and they carry these on their backs with almost no protection except for a wet cloth covering their mouths. For the past 40 years, dozens of miners have lost their lives due to explosions and other dangers in the area. Rio Tinto, Spain, in the province of Huelva, the Rio Tinto River looks more like an open wound on the earth than an ordinary river. Its water is tinged with red, orange, and copper as it flows through one of the oldest mining areas in the world. For thousands of years, different civilizations have thrived here because of the minerals of the Iberian Pyrite Belt, a region rich in metallic sulfides. The water of the Rio Tinto is extremely acidic, with a pH close to 2.5 and a high concentration of iron, sulfates, and metals like copper, zinc, and arsenic. Its reddish color mainly comes from dissolved and oxidized iron, which colors the riverbed as if it carries liquid rust. At first glance, it looks dirty and lifeless. But in reality, it is home to microorganisms that can survive in conditions extremely dangerous for most species. That's why the Rio Tinto River is being studied as a possible analog for Mars. NASA considers it a great place to conduct research on extremely acidic environments that may be similar to the conditions that once existed beneath the surface of Mars. Chernobyl, Ukraine. In northern Ukraine, Chernobyl represents a different kind of toxicity compared to an acidic lake or a polluted river. Here, the danger has no color. It has no smell or taste. It can't be seen on the surface, in the water, or in the smoke from a chimney. It can be found in invisible particles, in contaminated soil, in abandoned buildings, and in the memory of a particular night. On April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded during a safety test that went wrong. The explosion and fire released radioactive material into the atmosphere for several days, forcing people to evacuate the area. Pripyat, the city built for the plant workers, was completely abandoned. Its schools, apartment buildings, swimming pool, and parks became like a scene frozen in time. An exclusion zone with a radius of about 30 kilometers was established to keep the population away from radioactive contamination. In 1986, more than 100,000 people were evacuated and many more followed later. They were relocated to different parts of Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. You can't immediately tell that Chernobyl is dangerous at first glance, and that's exactly what's frightening because the place might look calm and peaceful. Plants have returned, animals roam freely in the forests, and many of the buildings are still standing. But beneath the quiet appearance of the place remains the radioactive footprint that has turned it into one of the most well-known contaminated sites on the planet. Lake Natron, Tanzania. In northern Tanzania, near the border with Kenya, Lake Natron looks like a red mirror lying in the Rift Valley. Its water can appear pink, orange, or almost blood-colored because of microorganisms adapted to extreme salinity. But that beauty comes from some highly unusual chemistry. Natron is dangerous not because it's acidic, but because it's the opposite. It's extremely alkaline, highly caustic. Because of evaporation, salts like sodium carbonate, also known as natron, accumulate and raise the pH to levels that reach almost 10.5. This acidic water can irritate the skin and eyes of animals that are not adapted to such conditions. When animals die on its shores, the salts help preserve their bodies, making them appear stiff and almost like mummies. What's most unusual is that this dangerous environment actually helps protect life. For dwarf flamingos, natron is one of the most important breeding grounds in East Africa. The lake's harsh conditions help keep them safe from predators. Jershinsk, Russia. About 370 kilometers east of Moscow, Jershinsk holds one of the darkest chemical legacies of the former Soviet Union. For several decades, it became a major center for industrial production and the manufacture of chemical weapons. Here, substances such as mustard gas, lewisite, hydrocyanic acid, and phosgene were used, compounds designed to poison, burn, or suffocate. The problem did not end when many factories closed down. Between 1930 and 1998, it is estimated that almost 300,000 tons of chemical waste were dumped in the area, containing more than 100 toxic compounds. Some of this pollution ended up in the soil, groundwater, and waste ponds, including the so-called White Sea, a large reservoir filled with chemical sludge that has become a symbol of environmental damage in Jershinsk. At first glance, it just looks like an ordinary industrial city. But beneath that appearance lies a mixture of persistent dioxins, phenols, heavy metals, and Soviet-era chemical waste. In the end, these places show that toxicity comes in many forms. Sometimes it appears as a colorful lake filled with sulfur and volcanic gases. At other times, it hides in a sacred river full of trash, in an industrial city that has struggled with pollution for decades, or in an abandoned place where radiation is still part of the landscape. What's alarming is that many of these places don't show their danger at first glance. Lake Natron stands out as a massive red lake in the middle of the Rift Valley. Kawiijen, on the other hand, is captivating because of its turquoise lake and blue flames. The Rio Tinto flows with colors that almost look like a Martian landscape. Even Chernobyl, now with regrowing forests, offers a unique sense of tranquility. But behind those images may be hidden acidity, gas, heavy metals, chemical waste, or radiation. Which of these places caught your attention the most? Leave your comments below. And if you want to keep discovering the most intense, unique, and surprising places on the planet, subscribe to Noel Polo Television. Until next time.